Hello, you're listening to a very special interview episode of Popcorn Podcast with Lee and Tim, where we sit down with Aussie actor Joel Edgerton to discuss his latest film, The Boys in the Boat. I'm Timmy Fland, movie buff.
And I'm Lee Livingstone, entertainment journalist.
And we love to talk all things movies.
And we love it when you join us for these chats on movies.
Thank you for lending us your ears, friends.
Yes. So The Boys in the Boat tells the true underdog story of the bootstrapping University of Washington junior varsity rowing team, who, against all odds, went on to represent the USA at the 1936 Olympics in Berlin.
The Boys in the Boat is directed by George Clooney from a screenplay by Mark L. Smith, based on the book by Daniel James Brown.
The Boys in the Boat stars Joel Edgerton, Callum Turner, Hadley Robinson, Jack Mulhern, Peter Guinness.
Joel Edgerton is an award-winning writer, director and actor from Australia who has starred in countless Hollywood and local films over his accomplished career, including, and not limited to, obviously, The Great Gatsby, Animal Kingdom, which is excellent, Warrior, Loving, and Ned Kelly.
Oh, how good was Loving? I remember we discussed that back when it came out.
Absolutely beautiful, beautiful film.
So Edgerton has also worked with many of the best directors in the business, from Ridley Scott to Baz Luhrmann, George Lucas and Catherine Bigelow.
But in George Clooney's latest turn in the director's chair, Edgerton plays real-life coach to the University of Washington junior varsity rowing, Al Ulbrichtson. Born with a desire to succeed, rowing is his life and his dedication to the sport is unmatched.
This isn't your average underdog story, though. It's untold history about how a group of men from different backgrounds braved choppy waters during a time of social and political upheaval to show the world what unity is.
Absolutely. And in our chat with Edgerton, he shares his own surprising water sports experiences. He dishes the dirt on working with George Clooney and gives Popcorn Podcast his best, worst pep talk.
Best, worst. Let's take a listen.
8-man crew is the most difficult team sport in the world. The average human body is just not meant for such things. Most of you will not be chosen.
Beautiful speech, Coach.
Joel, congratulations on The Boys in the Boat. What an incredible film.
Thank you.
Was there ever a Joel in the boat, maybe an interest in rowing that got you interested?
There was
in
a
this
Joel in a
project?
kayak once. There was a Joel on an inflatable My Little Pony. What do they call it? Pool pony? Yeah. Joel on a pool pony.
Great.
Pool pony. I remember actually once going down to Tasmania, and I'd been told that I was going down to go on a whitewater rafting journey, which I assume was just the river carries you down. And I arrived there after flying from London on a long-haul flight, went to this briefing, and it wasn't whitewater rafting. It was a 25-kilometre kayak journey in the ocean with the Mark Webber, Extreme Challenge.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's very different. Whitewater rafting versus kayaking on the ocean. Yeah. And I did it, and by the end of it, I had, arms that felt like they'd been stuck on me by a gorilla. Yeah, but never sculling, never this kind of rowing.
So were you nervous when George called you and said, hey, come along for the ride for this? What hooked you in?
I remember the first time he called me, I was like, oh shit, I've got to talk to George. And for some reason I felt nervous about it. And then he followed up with this, and he told me the story, and I was like, this is one of those great sports stories that I'd never heard about. You know, maybe if you're American, you might have heard about it. Definitely, if you've ever been in a rowing program, you would know about this story. But it felt like one of those true life sports stories. You're like, oh yeah, of course you got to make a movie about this. It's sort of perfectly built for it.
And the boys went through real training to become Olympic rowers. What kind of training did they put you through to become the coach?
No training at all.
You're just a natural.
Yeah. I just grimace my way through a movie. I did some training on a single scull and appreciate how hard it is and the balance of a single scull, like an original period boat. There were a couple of shots we did of me going out to check the river. And even though I was rowing slowly, I had to look like I really knew what I was doing. But these guys went through 2 months of training before we rolled cameras. Wow. And then we would shoot for 8 or 9 hours, and then they would all have to go off and row so they could keep their physiques. The shooting was, all out of order, but all the rowing sequences were kind of designed so that as they got better, it headed towards the final race, which was the race in Berlin at the Olympics.
Smart.
And they got good. There was one moment where they raced against some other boys that were professional rowers, and George had told the other guys to slow down. They needed these guys to win. And when they won, they were like, we just blew past these like professional rowers. Like, maybe we're really good. George was like, I told them to slow down. But it was all about the look of it, and they got very good.
Yeah.
Well, they felt good for a minute, and that's all that matters.
All you got to do, you go sort of between action and cut. Yeah.
Now, most of us had a teacher or a coach growing up that I guess helped pave the life that we live now. Was there any coaches or teachers that you really looked up to that you think back on even today?
Yeah, look, absolutely. I mean, I had tons of coaches, and they all kind of were varying degrees of Ulbrichtson. There's guys that looked like they were slightly unhappy all the time, and so therefore you wanted to do better to please them. So I had a couple of really great teachers when I was at school. One of them, who's no longer on the planet, was an art teacher of mine, Arthur Dixon. He was just one of those people that was very much like a Dead Poet Society kind of figure. A little bit of tough love, but always a reservoir of warmth underneath. But somebody that was very impressive and really understood each individual separately. And even though he was a teacher, really kind of put kids on the same level as him. Yeah, he was a very pivotal person for me.
Your character's inspirational speeches start off pretty woeful, and
Yeah.
they get better as the film goes on.
Yeah.
Could you indulge us and give us your best terrible pep talk?
Best terrible pep talk. Well, it would be all stats, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. How many podcasts have you done? How many episodes?
350, yeah,
something.
like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is this is your 350th podcast. Just don't talk over the top of each other.
It's good
Hope
advice.
that
Yeah.
you have at least a couple of listeners. Don't be afraid of swearing. Wear comfortable shoes.
We're comfortable.
Don't
shoes.
fuck it up.
Yeah, I usually am barefoot if
No,
we're
that's
doing it at home.
That's great advice.
Yeah,
There
keep
you
squabbling
go.
at home
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
Don't do it in front of the talent.
that's good.
I didn't say I was talented. I was just don't do it in front of the talent.
Right, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You're an accomplished writer and director yourself. What's it like collaborating on something like this with George Clooney as a director? Because you're kind of walking a similar path as
Yeah,
well.
George, you really need to carry George, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm going to have to direct this movie in the shadows as well.
yeah.
Uncredited.
Yeah,
on the
I
track.
have to direct myself. Look, the worst case scenario for working with an actor-director is they're going to tell you how it's done or show you what they would do, like act out every character, which would be awful, which didn't happen. You know, the best directors have a sense of how to talk to crew and get the best out of the machine and, all the different departments, but also have this sort of care and attention of actors. It's amazing how many directors are either scared of actors, don't know how to talk to them, or hate them. Like they're a means to get their movie made, and they're like,
Is that you? You're talking about you? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, actors can be a punish, and you can see why they're frustrated. Well, a lot of directors would be like, even though it would take longer, I should just do animation because drawings won't talk back to me the way you do and demand all this shit. But actors that direct do appreciate what it takes to give a performance and what needs to go into it, and therefore hopefully too they understand how they like to be talked to as an actor, and they will talk to actors in that way. And so we had a pretty easy time, but I felt very trusted by him.
That's great.
And I had a good time.
This is going to be a pretty pivotal project for Callum Turner. Look, he's done an amazing job in this.
Yeah, I mean, he got to work with me.
Yes. Well, looking...
Is that what you mean?
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. Reading
Well,
between the lines.
Looking back on your career, is there a certain project for you that you thought, oh, this is it, I'm really hitting my stride, or this is the big one for me?
I thought that about all my early films. I'm like, this is it, I'm going to have a movie career now. And then I'd, realise that only like 30, 38 people saw the movie and it was going to turn me into a movie star. I think the thing that was pivotal for me that changed things was not until I was in my 30s, when I was doing like the year we did Animal Kingdom and Warrior. And it was finally, even though it didn't make a lot of movie at the box office, it was a movie that a lot of people in Hollywood saw, and it opened a bunch of doors for me. But the other one was Star Wars. Even though I'm in it for like 48 seconds, the fact that I was in it kind of created a lot of opportunities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Joel, we've loved talking to you. Congratulations again on the film. In wrapping up, what is it, do you think, about elite sport that captures the hearts and minds of a nation or the world so much? We saw it recently with the Matildas.
Yeah.
And in your film, everyone's huddled around the radio, just taking it all in, cheering on. What do you think it is?
It's weird how, divided we all are a lot of the time about all sorts of things and political issues and race. And then sport comes along and everybody gets behind it. And all those things that we see that are different about each other kind of dissolve. Because then we want to go to war with the country that's going to play against the Matildas, so that we're all together and now we're against you. And each stage of the development of a team, like in this film, it's like a regional thing that then, a state college that then goes to the nationals. And then the whole country gets behind them. And I think it's a nice story to see, for a reminder that we all actually can put stuff aside in order to all, root for the same thing. And I think it says a lot about empathy, that's part of our nature, that we sort of put a lid on it too often.
Very well said. Thank you so much for your time, Joel.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Chris.
So lovely to meet you.
Take care.
Thank you.
For what it's worth, I'm proud of you boys.
Inspiring.
You missed the part where I told him not to tip over.
Did you feel uplifted after Edgerton's pep talk, Lee?
I did. I honestly think it included some incredibly sound advice for us, don't you think?
Well, it's funny because he said in his pep talk, you should wear shoes, and I'm actually sitting here without shoes on, so I haven't taken his advice on hand just yet.
I'm not quite sure I understood that one, but, we asked for best worst, and there we go. We got it.
And we got it. We got it in the form of whatever Joel just imparted to us. Take it or leave it. What a great chat we had with this homegrown star about the boys in the boat. He was so lovely, wasn't he? And as you heard, offered some great insights about his character, the film, and his career and life experiences too.
We hope you enjoyed this very special interview episode of Popcorn Podcast. We love sharing these conversations with stars and creators with you, our listener. It's honestly the best part of the gig.
Pinch me again and again. Now, you can check out our video interview with Joel Edgerton over on our YouTube channel, friends, and our spoiler-free review of The Boys in the Boat wherever you get your podcasts.
So The Boys in the Boat is in Australian cinemas from January 4.
And as always, friends, thank you so much for listening.
We'll catch you next time. If you enjoy our episodes, head over to Apple Podcasts and subscribe. While you're there, we would love you to rate us and leave a review. You can also find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Alexa, and where all good podcasts are found.